Welcome, everybody, to the Beyond 6 Seconds podcast. My name is Carolyn Keel, and on today's episode, I am speaking with two executives from WLWYB, a Lego part dealer company on the secondary market of Lego based in Hungary. David Kokai is the founder of WLWYB, and Lili Juhász is the HR manager. WLWYB operates their breakthrough platform, MockHub, which allows Lego creators to share their work and make money with their creations. David and Lili, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Caroline, and thank you so much for having us.
So happy to have you here today. So, David, tell me, what inspired you to start a business focused on Lego?
It's a long story. It started more than a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was studying business administration and economics, so I'm an economist by trade, and I used to work in a big multinational company in the IT sector. I used to say that was my suit and tie time, or those were the suit and tie times, and I was having a strong feeling that in order to have a real satisfaction in life, I have to do something else. Mm-hmm. It was a nice career, but many aspects were missing from that life. So I started to devote more time to my hobbies. And back then, one of my important hobbies was learning data science. Mm-hmm. And while learning data science, I just realized that there is a very interesting underworld market of the Lego parts. Underworld is, for sure, don't take it literally, but there is a big universe where people are trading, buying and selling Lego parts for according their needs, which was not even known by me, but which was back then quite an interesting thing. And there was a platform, or there is still a platform, where you can trade these Lego parts. It's called bricklink.com. It was acquired by the Lego company last year. So it's a legit marketplace. And I just realized that all the data available on this platform can be processed and analyzed just like any other commodities. And I found a sweet spot to exercise with my data science ambitions. And from that seriously taken hobby, after a couple of years, I just realized that there is a real business potential in it, and we can generate value to our customers and to the whole A4 community. A4 stands for Adult Fan of Legos. It's also a pretty well-known abbreviation in the Lego world, but not for others. Mm-hmm. So I just realized that there is some kind of value to be added to this community. While it's, you can guess, it's a very inspiring atmosphere to work among a couple of millions of Lego bricks. So from that two aspects, it just evolved organically, which is quite a healthy attitude, I believe. And I devoted more and more time, more and more focus to this hobby project. Then it became my primary activity. And I just realized after a couple of years that we are a team of more than 10 people, and it grew to a size which I can be proud of, and which assures that further developments are also potential feasible. So that's the story in short. And if I may introduce Lili. Lili is not only the HR manager, but also the first officer on board in this company. She's the one who spent the most time with the company right now. She was one of the first new acquisitions when I started to scale up this business. And she's the one who did all the critical fields during the development, and right now HR is one of the most important, I wouldn't say critical from the aspect how important it is for the business, one of the most important fields, which is HR, and it is as important because we are not only dealing in a very inspiring and very interesting and innovative market segment, the world of Lego parts, but we have also introduced some kind of business innovations, at least here in Central Eastern Europe, towards setting up a neurodiverse working environment. And the development of this neurodiverse working environment was one of the biggest challenges that was ahead of us, and she was the head of this development, and right now she's the one who is operating all the procedures and all the to-dos concerning this kind of working environment.
Yeah, and that's a very unique part of your business, I understand, is that you employ a neurodiverse workforce. So, Lili, I'd love to learn more about what that means and why that's so critical to your business.
Well, actually, it all started like a few years ago when we started to think about how we can scale up our human resources. And for us to employ autistic people was like a business decision, because the thing is that we wanted to find people who are as much as who love their work as much as we do, so who can really enjoy it, who can really love it, because it's really, I don't know, an unbelievable quantity of Lego parts. All our procedures are with Lego parts. It's very visual. Counting all the parts and working with Lego parts on a daily basis, it can be very monotonistic, I'm sorry. So when we were thinking about workforces and human resources, we came across with this idea that what if we would how do you widen our pool and see what we can do there. And we started to work very strictly on this. So we had specialists who came to our workplace and they looked around, they looked at our procedures, whether if it's autism-friendly or not. And the thing is that every specialist who came into our office said that, okay, this is the perfect place for autistic persons to work, because all our processes are very defined. We have only objective decision points in our processes, so you don't have to start to think about what to do next, because there's very definite solutions for each decision point. And after a very careful consideration, we decided that with the appropriate amount of work and caring, we can actually create a very safe work environment for autistic people, and we can actually employ them and widen and scale our operations resource-wise.
Wow,
And if I may add, also to interrupt you, if I may add, maybe the roots of the idea, and I come up the second time with that, but you have to consider this if you try to evaluate our situation, that we are in Central Eastern Europe, and Central Eastern Europe is a bit less progressive than other more progressive parts of the world. So diversity in general is still an open discussion in the society, and I'm behind diversity of any kind. I think that anything which is diverse is more strong than something with less diversity. And our atmosphere, the ambience in the office was always very open, and we always were evangelists of diversity. And then it came up that we have a field of development where we can show the world, or show to our close environment that a diverse team of any kind is much stronger than a less diverse one. So that belongs to the story as well. However, it was a very, very serious taken business decision from the very first second, and still it is. So we do not build a diverse team l'art pour l'art for itself. We do it because we have very strict business interests towards that, and that's why we landed at autism, because all of, as Lili said, all of our activities or decisions are binary. There are no vague decisions. You know, a Lego part is either 1x3 or a 1x4, but there is nothing on the borderline. And while it is monotonous and repetitive, it is a perfect fit for people living on a spectrum. And after we have realized that, there was nothing else to do, just 2 years preparation to set up our infrastructure, set up our procedures, and set up the team's mindset to get the first colleague on the spectrum. And still then, but that's Lili's story. I'm really happy and really confident with what we have achieved.
That's fantastic. It sounds like such a great fit. Yeah, Lili, I'd love to learn about, the talent recruitment and management cycle, how you recruit people and how you support them in the workplace.
Well, it's always an ongoing challenge, because with every new position comes new challenges. Well, basically, we try to find people at every channel we can. We started to get in touch with universities, autism-wise universities, foundations, and we are recruiting online as well. So we are trying to find people on online ways as well. And the thing is that from the very beginning, we wanted to make this as very clear as possible. So when you are hiring or interviewing an autistic people, then you have to make sure that you are very direct. You ask the questions very direct. They know what they know what they can expect. Yeah, they understand what are the requirements. So at the very beginning, we started to make these very small office meetups, where like a few of them came here. We showed them around. We told them what we do, what they can expect of this type of work. And then we always did a little workshop with them, asking them what makes a workplace autism friendly from their point of view. So we are always open to new ideas and to their ideas. So that's actually what we can learn from the most, and from their questions and from their feedbacks. And based on these meetups, many of them could decide whether if it's something they want to do, if it's something or if this place is a place where they want to work, because we actually have an open workspace. So it's always a challenge for them to decide whether they are comfortable with this or not. And if they still decided to apply for the job, we interviewed them, and and after, if an interview was successful, the whole onboarding process includes a sit down where we understand what are their specific needs, where should we focus on mentoring. So we actually have a mentoring system for all our employees. And I think this is what makes this very unique, because in our country, many of the neurodiverse workplaces came from like a life experience. So many neurodiverse workplace was made by someone who has an autistic son or daughter, or has a family member. But it's very unique to create a neurodiverse workplace on the open market, strictly as a business decision itself. And this is something which we stand for, because we like to, what we are teaching to our team, that we are neurodiverse, but diversity is important. It makes you stronger. It teaches you to always keep an open mind and always be open to learn how to communicate better, to learn what makes other people different. And I think that this makes our team very strong, and they are actually amazing. I mean, each of them are really open-minded, and they are putting the work in, and they are open to do this. So they are not like, okay, I don't know how to handle this, but they are very proactive about it.
That's wonderful. It sounds like it's such a great fit with the type of talent that you need and what really needs to be done for the business, and that it
Absolutely.
makes
Absolutely.
so much sense.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
absolutely.
Absolutely. So, you had mentioned earlier that, there's challenges around talent management, and certainly I'd imagine there were big challenges this year with the impact of the pandemic. And, but I understand that you weathered those as a company quite well, in terms of not having almost any interruptions in orders or anything like that. So tell me about how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected your business this year.
That's also really stable, because besides being HR manager, she's the health and safety officer as well. So it belongs to her.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we are very lucky, because ever since this whole pandemic hit, people are staying at home and they are playing with Lego all the time, presumably, based on our orders. But the thing is that it's really, well, when we had a quarantine for like 2.5 months, that was the first really big change which we had to handle somehow. But we did it very strictly, and we did it very fast, and it worked. Like, I think it went amazingly well. Basically, in a few days, we changed to being everyone at home. We start, well, like as of today, we are still having our daily meetings in the morning at the beginning of the work time with everyone, and everyone is keeping track of their tasks and their questions, or if there's anything we need to discuss, so we can discuss it at the beginning of the day.
I mean, we do this online.
Yeah, we do this online. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. It's the new normal. So it was so obvious to me. But yeah, we do this online. And what was really important, what a surprise, it was communication with all our workers, communicating about how they can handle their days, what they can do, what are the challenges they are facing. And and I think we did it well. And I think what is really challenging for all of us and for all of our employees is when you are working from home, actually the responsibility of creating your workplace and your work time management at home, it becomes your responsibility, because you don't have the office to go in, you don't have the desk in the office where you sit down, you don't have the spaces for meetings, for like coffee breaks and etc. So I think what is really important to help everyone to understand what it means to have this responsibility and what they can do about it. But with good communication, I think it's all manageable. And what actually having a neurodiverse workplace taught us so far is that you always have to you always have to communicate as good as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It was such a big change for so many of us, having to suddenly work from home, and all of our routines were disrupted. So it sounds like you've managed through that with people helping them to basically build new routines at home, because that's what I guess we all had to do in this situation in 2020.
Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, I'm curious, you have such a business that is so close to people's hearts with Legos and has such a great fan base. What kind of feedback do you usually receive from your customers, whether it's the builders, the Lego builders that you work with, or the people that they sell with, and what kind of any stories you would want to share there?
Carol, it's amazing. That's one of the biggest advantage to work in an industry filled with love. Honestly, the Lego community is one of the most positive communities of the world. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of communities. There are even many positive communities, but the Lego community is among the most open, most positive, mostly filled with love and happiness and acceptance. So we're in a good industry, first of all. Second, what we do try is we do innovate in this market, and we try to find those areas which those challenges, those white spots which are not yet solved by technology or logistics or whatever, but can add to the life of the Lego lovers. And that's why, because we are innovating, we are getting so many positive and good vibes back, that's something which is alone worth to live for or to work for. So we are getting a lot of positive feedback. Normally I tell the story that when a customer from New Zealand, again we are in Europe, from New Zealand orders something from us, it's not because he wanted to try the international logistics or the capabilities of the international logistics, but it's because they are sitting at the other part of the world or the other end of the world, and we are the ones who can serve their needs. And that's such a strong and good feeling. I can tell you, it gives us a lot of energy for the everyday tasks. So our customer portfolio is quite balanced. Approximately 1/3 comes from the US, 1/3 comes from Southeastern Asia and the Australia Pacific region, and 1/3 comes from Europe, Western Europe mainly. So we can feel it on our skin how small this world is and how similar we all are, no matter whether you're from Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe or America, you have the same needs, you have the same triggers for joy, and so on and so on. And Lego bricks in this whole ecosystem at the end of the day are the perfect medium for this. A simple Lego brick is just an abstract requisite, but you can build anything from that, and our brains from all around the world work the same way. We want to put together different colorful Lego bricks in order to show us to show the world what we feel, what we want to express, and so on. So that's so cool, and that's really one of the, I think that one of the most important success that I can be proud of is that we are here in an environment where we can provide this kind of joy, and we will get back more from that provision. In short, don't want to be too pathetic in that case, but at the end of the day, I think that's one of the most important success factors of ours. And you can bet each and every colleague is happy to work here. It's a good place to have a job.
It sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like, David and Lili together, you've really built what a lot of people consider really a dream company. And maybe David, as you having formerly worked in the corporate world, probably, this really is a dream, and just wonderfully, just the way that you manage talent so innovatively and are able to manage the logistics and the challenges of international shipping and building this great community. That's really incredible.
That's it. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. What I'm curious, what kind of advice would you have for someone who, maybe they have an idea, they have a dream company that they'd like to start someday, but they're just having a hard time taking those first steps to get it started?
First steps are always hard. You can't do anything against this, but after you have put your necessary first steps in, then it is going to be paying itself off. This is just law of nature, and all this kind of stereotypical wisdom is so true that as I strongly believe that this is the rule of nature, that if you put effort and work into a goal, then that goal is going to pay it off sooner or later. Then the next step is you don't need anything else, just patience, self-confidence. If you want to build your dream company, then you're gonna be self-confident enough to work hard and to get into all the battles with not so colorful, rather gray everyday tasks, which belongs to that. So even in a dream workplace like ours, the everyday tasks are as gray and as repetitive, and they can be as demotivating as in any other places. The big difference is that at the end of the day, when you start to you try to make a balance, then you have some extra additional items to be put into the pro part of the scale. So life won't be easier if you are pursuing your dreams and building a business, managing a project towards the success, whatever project it may be. It is not going to be easier, whatever you do. But the reward, you have only influence on the reward, what you get after you have invested all those necessary efforts what you had to invest, and that's why I do recommend everyone to pursue their personal dreams, because the reward is going to be much bigger. The job to be invested, the work to be invested is always the same, a hell lot. And that's life, that's why it is. So this is nothing special, and no one's gonna be able to change this kind of rule of natures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rules of nature.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great advice for anyone listening who may be thinking or maybe having a hard time getting that first start.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Well, David and Lili, thank you so much for being on my podcast. Is there anything else that you'd like our listeners to know, or maybe what's really the best way for them to learn more about We Love What You Build, whether they're a builder or they just want to learn more about your workforce? How can they?
We have a website which you can find on WLWYB. It's an unpronounceable domain. There is some kind of consciousness behind it, because that way you have first you have to understand, and then you have to memorize our name, which is We Love What You Build. But once you got to what this abbreviation stands for, then you're gonna remember it. Most of the people remember it. So everyone is warmly welcome. We are under constant development on the website, but please feel free to just say hello to us, or if any of your viewers have any kind of question, have any kind of specific curiosity, do not hesitate to contact us anytime, because both Lili, myself, or any other member of my team, I'm pretty sure is more than happy to give those answers and to widen this kind of community around us.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, thank you again, Lili and David, for being on my podcast.
Caroline,
Great to hear.
Thank you. It's been our pleasure.
Thank you.